All right. Test.
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 As Gen Z, let's get to our Ask An Idiot question here, guys. So as Gen Z enters early to mid-20s, so like my daughter is a Gen Z. She's 23. They also call them Zoomers. Some Zoomers are now wondering, is clubbing dead, gentlemen? So in recent weeks...
So it is as simple as that. The question. Okay.
That's...
If you would have read the articles,
basically.
Dean, you would have known that already.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Nick. Mm-hmm. So in recent weeks, a handful of TikTok creators have made viral. They've made viral videos saying nightlife in 2023 is not what they expected. A sentiment has resonated with millions of viewers, many older members of the age. So it's a group born between 96 and 2012. That's Gen Z. Grew up listening to party-forward music, pop music, and watching shows like Jersey Shore, in which clubbing was a way of life. So somebody said, I feel ripped off to a certain extent. Every song that came out when I was in elementary school and middle school was about getting crunk in the club. And I did look up the word crunk. It's basically like it's energetic. It's you're just having fun.
You're turnt.
It's turnt. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. I use the word turnt these days. Not crunk as much as I used to.
Yeah, well, sure, because you're a hip gentleman and you say turn. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
I'm sitting back because he's creating so many one-liners that I can create a new intro for the beginning of the show, and it's all him using these words.
It's time to get crunk. Convincing idiots.
I say turnt more these days than I say crunk.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's getting into our asking. So I don't know if you guys were into any type of the club scene when you were younger, going out. It was something that I would go to clubs. It was a bit more prominent around the local area. I was not like out on the dance floor.
You wore leisure suits and gold medallions and.
Not quite at that level. No, it was a little bit later than that. We're talking about the 90s here, but
18 or 19.
Huh?
18 or 19.
Uh-huh. The 1990s, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you had to go in there, you had to turn in your pistol, you know what I'm saying? At the counter and stuff like that. The guy would put it behind the bar and everything.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The piano players and so forth. Yeah. No, but it was clubbing something that did you guys
know how many girls he made out to the fucking song Camptown Races?
Sure. That's right.
A lot.
Little gun tricks and so forth. Yep, playing Pharaoh.
Gun tricks.
Yep. So it was clubbing
he was
something you guys
Susanna right up the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
There you have it.
It's like, son of a bitch.
There you go. Yep.
Trying to ask a fucking question.
Yep. So, was clubbing something you guys were into? Is it something that you missed?
The clubbing Brian remembers is actually from the cave when he used to had to club the girls over there.
There you go. That's right.
Sorry, I had to.
That's right. There you go.
That was worth it.
Yep.
That was good.
Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, but was it something that you did? Was it something that you miss, or are these days is the current social scene for you much better? And do you think the social scene for younger people, is it just changing and everything else? The article gets into a lot of that stuff as well. So younger people are sort of get through the pandemic was a huge impact as well because people had to stay home. They learned to, plus they have these, obviously they have phones. They grew up with phones and devices to connect that way. So it just, the people aren't used to having to go out to be social. In our generations, certainly we had to. It's just, it wasn't, the technology wasn't there. Certainly not for me and Dean, Nick, not even that much either. Where if you want to go out and hang out with people, you had to leave the house, go out and be out there and hanging out and socializing and stuff like that. So just any thoughts that you have there? Let's maybe start there. Is that something that you did? Is it something that you miss? Or is it like, no, what I'm doing now is a lot better, just hanging out low-key breweries? And do you think it's different for kids, younger people today out there. So, Dean, go ahead.
Explanation was as long as the fucking article he sent us. All right, so
this fucking guy. Can you believe this, Brian? Can you believe this disrespect on your show?
That's right. We'll talk about fucking clubs when I see him again. Yeah, that's fine.
Fucking clubs. How are you doing that one? All right, so to answer your question, to start off, I went to clubs very rarely. Maybe like a couple times a year. I wasn't a club. I've never been like big into like crowds. So when you put a crowd, right? But to get around people where it's like shoulder to shoulder, and I mean, I'd have to get. And when they did pull me down to these clubs, I would have to get drunk real quick to even. Then I would be fine. Drunk Dean, I had no problem with any of that. But sober Dean, no, I never liked them, never dug them, and I think the kids of today. And maybe I'm off on this. Maybe you guys can call me on this, but like how do I put this without sounding really old and really right wing, which I'm not. But all right, then I'll just say it. Maybe the wokeness in kids today, maybe the club atmosphere doesn't allow. Or maybe it's not meant for that thought. Like, again, I'm just saying the way I remember clubs. I remember a lot of clubs there was no asking.
Dean's date rape dens.
No, come on. It wasn't date rape. I'm talking about just like dancing on the dance floor. You would dance and then turn around and start dancing with whoever was literally next to you, and just things were grinding and smushing and mushing and. There was a lot of that, and that's my question. Is this generation, are they not, and again, I'm not faulting somebody for obviously trying to be respectful to themselves and their own body, but does it not lend to the club atmosphere? The whole not, Again, I'm trying not to get myself consent. Yeah, I know. I that's what it was, but I don't mean it like that. Pussy. You know what I mean? I knew how it was going to come off. So I let Nick say it. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what I'm trying to say, like, I'm trying not to be, I don't mean this to be disrespectful at all. But and again, I could be way off base. Obviously, I'm 42 fucking years old. I don't know anything the way kids think or whatever. It's just what I hear in the zeitgeist of life right now. So, anyways, Nick, fucking save me here. I don't know. Fuck.
Anyway, as much as Dean would like to wax poetically about a simpler time when you used to be able to slip a simple pill in a girl's drink and get fucking laid that night, I am going to tell you, no.
That's how we met.
No, I don't know. I get what you're saying, though, with that, Dean, but also, I do think that is one way to look at it. But I think, like, especially like with the introduction of dating apps, and like kids are like just as much as like fucking dirtbags with each other as they've always been. In fact, I think they're in some ways even it's more relaxed, it's more casual than ever before to hook up with people, and with different apps and stuff to just everybody knows what they're getting into. Trying to fuck, swipe, there you go, and then on your way. So I feel like that element, I get what you're saying there with the club element and stuff, but like I definitely think it's not for the sake of that, like kids are in a different mental space with that. I think it's just
there are like Brian said, kids that go, sure, no, I would never.
Put
myself in that situation, which I kind of felt fucking the same thing.
Yeah. Like for me personally, like I don't know if what really constitutes as a club. Like if you're talking like Jersey Shore club, you go out to the club and it's on only at nighttime, and that's it's a lot of the places I went to
the Harry Buffalo in Akron.
Okay,
that was the one we would go to.
Yeah.
On a random Saturday night.
Like a lot of places I would go would be like
loud music.
Yeah, would be like
Ask
bars.
the DJ to turn it down. I'm like, does it need to be this loud?
Mm-hmm.
I go to like bars that at a certain time there'd be a DJ up there, and then there's a
Right.
dance floor, and then there's different places like Red Fox and Cuyahoga Falls when I lived out there. That
Oh,
was a
boy.
big
Big
spot at
dummy.
night. Fucking what was that? It was a wing warehouse and turned into something over on 619 they had like a DJ booth above the dance floor. So it was a regular bar, a nice sports bar, but after like 10 o'clock, the whole vibe changed. So I used to go out to the places like that. So I don't know if they were like clubs necessarily, but definitely a club environment. I do think at the time, I think it's important to distinguish the age thing.
Sure.
It is way more. It is that environment, that vibe, that whole thing is such a blast. Like, it's nice to go out and have like some drinks at a brewery and have a laid back thing, but like that's for people our age. Like, when you're their age, like, I don't want to fucking do that. That's not as fun as what that was back in the day. When you're out there and like mingling with people, meeting new people, having adventures that night, drunk stories, like stuff like that is just, it's different, but it's important to distinguish that these are the kinds of things you do when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. You're just a sad person if you're still doing that stuff.
Right.
At that age, if you're coming out with drunk stories and crazy things, and I don't know what happened to my phone and you're like my age, like you're sad. Like, that's pretty sad.
If you don't wake up on a Sunday morning with just that gut feeling that you should apologize to everybody because you have no clue what the fuck happened the night before, you're doing it right there.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it is like it's subjective to each their own, but like certainly there is something to be said for the way people are raised, and that there's a lot more. People have always had social anxiety, for example, but it's not been as prevalent as it is today because there's, like Brian alluded to, the way kids of a certain vintage or age have been raised to always have the ability to connect with people, sometimes not even having a face to connect to, or maybe not ever meeting the person in person. It definitely trains your brain in a different way and how you can connect with people. So the idea of going out and mingling with people outside of the group that you went there with, or, meeting new people, is maybe not as inviting as it was when each of us would have been younger. And like you said, that's how you met new people. Yes, I grew up with the internet, but we had like AOL chat rooms. We didn't have like Facebook and shit, or we couldn't game online with people and like, meet people that way or anything like that. So it is definitely a different environment. So I think you'll always kind of lean towards, if you feel good about, when you grew up and how you grew up and you look back with fond memories, you'll always look at when you grew up as a good time. So from my vantage point and enjoying the way that I grew up and the experiences that I had in clubs or bars or, meeting people that I would love for kids to experience that too. But if they're just not in that headspace, or they're not built that way to want that, then maybe they wouldn't enjoy that. But it's definitely, a different environment. And I do feel like, it's hard to say what it's like now, right? Because I haven't been to a place like the one that I just described in probably 10 plus years. So
maybe we should do a convincing idiots field trip and go to
convincing
the three of us
idiots
go to a
live.
But are there any even around? I don't even know if there's any
I have no
around.
clue.
I'm sure. Something. Yeah. You can find somewhere in Cleveland, Akron, something. I mean, shit, there's probably.
I went to a Turkish nightclub the other day. That's for another time.
All right.
They were showing a Paul Giamatti film.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Brian, what about you? Were you you said in the 90s you did all that stuff, so
we did that stuff, and the article is funny. It gets into stuff too, young people don't have as much disposable income, so they're doing a lot more doing other types of things, like apartment gatherings, local bars and stuff. I'm like, that's what we did. When I was maybe everybody does. I don't know. We certainly did. So back in the 90s, that was some of my
kids are poor, but it is.
Yeah. But that's okay, because we had, those are the fun times to me. Those moments of getting the friends together, and you hang out prior, like you're pre-gaming, if you will.
Yep.
You're hanging
at the house,
socializing. You're probably playing drinking games or whatever it is, and you're chilling. There were a lot of times I didn't even want to leave the house because I was having so much fun just hanging out with the friends.
Right.
But you have to go out and be seen. You have to go out and try to meet people. it was almost like a pressure thing where we would go out and venture out, hang out for a couple. We wouldn't even leave the house at half the time until
Now
11.
the pressure's on my hemorrhoids.
Right, exactly. But so it was a thing we did. There were those type of places were definitely prevalent all through Akron. The Vault was a big place in downtown Akron. It was an old bank that they converted. That was actually pretty cool. But I just it was fine. It was just no. You know what? I did go to the Interbelt one time with Cunningham's twin sisters, and it was one of the funnest nights that we had out because there was zero pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You're in.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to get laid that night. No pressure.
It's a gay bar in this area. People obviously don't know that. But I was not hit on or whatever. I was not looking for anybody. We just hung out and it was fun. But anyway, so I don't know. And actually that part of me, that has never changed to where the socialization, hanging out with friends, that's what I like to do back then. And that's what I prefer to do now.
Same.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So in many respects, it's changed. And in many respects, it really hasn't changed all that much too. You know what I mean?
It just, I'm glad we grew up when the era, and I know every generation says it, but I'm glad we grew up in the era and the way that we did. Like being this age at this moment is terrific. Have we let everybody else know the secret of like how awesome it is to be like a middle-aged white guy in America these days? Like, fuck, it's amazing.
Yeah,
sure.
It is. I mean, I feel great guilt in saying it, but it's pretty carefree.
And I also realized that the podcast didn't get to see me roll my eyes after that joke. I'm like, all right, I just come off as an asshole. All right, that's fine. Zennial Dean, Gen X Brian, Millennial Nick. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe.